afternoon, good evening, good morning. Welcome back to the channel. My name is ASFM. I hope you're all doing well on this day. And welcome to Season 4, Episode 5. And we're looking at the overview which was Season 4. And I think it's been a bit of a grim season. It's just been one where it's just been a slog. We haven't actually moved forward as a club. We hit mid-table, which is what the board wanted, but for myself, I really want to start seeing this save starting to pick up. And 5 seasons in, obviously we've come up. I think realistically, if we look at the past, we have actually done very well as a club. We've obviously come up into the first league. We've won the Bulgarian Cup, and now we are a mid-table club, which is good. But I want to start taking us to that next level, and I think we really have to start aiming for those championship groups, because I just feel at the moment we're not actually really doing what we should be doing, which is obviously trying to hit those groups and going on into Europe. So what I'm going to talk about is we are going to have a look at the Lokomotiv Sofia 2024-25 season review and look over some of the key areas and also discuss some of the tactics going forward, and also where I'm going to move forward and what I'm going to be changing for Season 5. So let's dive in and let's look back over the highs and lows, as what it says on there for the season ahead. So let's go over to the season review and the 2024 season and the new arrivals that were brought in and signed. So I think some of them were fairly decent, if I'm being honest. So we got obviously Nikola Simic. He came in on we bought him for 45,000 from Bakker. And he had 17 appearances and average rating of 7.08. So he was actually a pretty solid keeper, and I think definitely one now who's going to probably be challenging Vassal's position. And overall, I thought he's been fantastic. He's come in and he's done his job, which was good to see. And then the next one is Tomislav Yordanov, who I signed for 120,000 from CSK Sofia. 29 appearances, 4 off the bench, with a 16-goal season and 7 assists. So he's actually done phenomenally well in an advanced forward position, which is really good to see, and a 7.8 average rating. And to be fair for him, at the start of the season he wasn't hitting the heights that I wanted to, but my word, once he hit that mid to end section of the season, it was honestly, he was just banging them in every game, which was good to see. And now the next player to come in was on loans, was Hugo Dupont from Olympique Marseille. He was on loan, so I wasn't signing him on anything, and I didn't pay him anything. He had 1 appearances, 6 off the bench, and 2 assists. And to be fair, he was a fairly decent player. His crossing was diabolical. And a lot of the time when he was crossing, we would end up giving the ball away, and then they'd go and counter-attack. So he was actually sort of a bit of a liability. Now the next player to come in was Kolev. He had 15 appearances, 2 off the bench, and he scored 2 goals. And to be fair, he wasn't great. I think I signed him, but overall he just wasn't the quality that we needed to be in this season. I think I've made a loss on him, but when we went big, we've obviously signed players that are quite a lot, and I think they've paid off, because we're now obviously a mid-table club, and I think the investments were necessary. Forward areas are brilliant. We know that we've got 2 very, very clinical strikers, and with Burkov and Yordanov, it's just now we need to start looking at the defence and midfield and really start to go and significantly make an impact in signing players. And now the next player to come in was Pitu. He came in on a loan deal from Olympique Marseille, and he came in with 28 appearances, 3 off the bench, 2 goals, 6 assists, and a 6.98, so nearly hitting a 7 average rating. 20-year-old attacking midfielder, and we weren't paying him anything for the quality that he was, and it was fantastic to see, as Olympique Marseille are really actually starting to really help out this club, because they're our affiliate club, so I think they're paying us something like 50,000 every year, and I just sign a few of their players on a loan deal, which is brilliant to see, because most of the time they are phenomenal. The next player to come in was Oleg Dimitrov. He was brought in from Minor Pernik for 100,000, and he made 25 appearances and got 4 assists, so not a bad return, to be fair. And I think he's obviously in his prime years at the moment, and overall solid signing. Next player to come in was Richard somehow. He comes in and made 4 appearances, 6 off the bench, so a total of 10 appearances for the club and 1 assist. He wasn't very good. I don't think he was very successful in the position that he played, and I just think I didn't really utilise him enough. And the final player to come in, one of the players to come in was Petro Ganev. He comes in as a centre back from Arda for 135,000. 14 appearances, one off the bench, and just a solid all-round player. And I think he's someone that, to be fair, I think he's probably going to be around the club for a bit longer. Now, the next player, and a controversial player, is Koulibaly. Now, Koulibaly came in, we spent big money on him, and it was 220,000 for a 27-year-old centre-back. So he's still got time to improve, and obviously to not just improve, but also prove that he is the player that I signed him for. Because at the moment he isn't living up to those heights, and that's why he didn't have the many appearances because he would have been my starting centre back. Now the next player to come in was Krakashev. He comes in for 135,000 and 5 appearances, 8 off the bench and 1 goal. And I think he's probably going to be heading out by the end of this season. I just don't think he is nowhere near good enough for the club. And finally, the last player to be brought in was Martin Pijak. He comes in on a free transfer, but I think I'm paying him quite a lot in his fees for his salary per week. I think it's like £400 a week, and 3 appearances, 4 off the bench, and hasn't no goals or assists, so he hasn't been that great in terms of a signing. So, well, they're all our players. I definitely think out of these ones, the ones that do stand out are most definitely Yordanov and probably Pitu, and also Simic and Dupont, but Dupont wasn't really around very much. So let's have a look at these season results here. And obviously we entered mid-table. The board expected us to go mid-table, and we did. And the board is pleased that the team is currently on course to achieve mid-table position First League. It's a shame that the run has ended, showing strong form. Yeah, that's the issue. The ending, when we end it in the second division, we're always fantastic, but it's those last 2 games. It's the last game, which is the going on into Europe, we just bottle. And as you can see, 7th place, 36 points. One less than the season before, I believe. But look at this. We're just not consistent, and that's the issue. As a club, we're just not consistent. So let's have a look at the moments to remember. So obviously the big thrashing was a 5-0. Match to remember was the Yordanov Classic, where we went on to win and beat Ludogorets 2-1. And goal of the season, funnily enough, was Kolev, who 26-yard screamer. So that's good to see. Now we're going on to the finances. This is the big section that I'm actually really interested in. And as you can see here, everything's gone up, which is good to see. And obviously sponsorships have gone up to about 700,000 a year, which is good. Broadcast revenues up, domestic sales are up, so everything's pointing in the right direction in the way that I want it to be, so that's not too bad. And how did we line up? So we lined up in a 4-3-3 or 4-3-1-2, however you say it, but that looks typically like a 4-3-3. So obviously it was Yordanov, Burukov, Steph, Orachev, Dimitrov, Pitu, Ilev, Kirchev, Stoev and Simonov, all getting above a 7 rating. And Vassal in goal, unfortunately. Now the accolades, this is the big one. So fans player of the season is Burukov. Surprise, he's an absolutely formidable striker for our club. Young player of the season was Dimitrov. Simic was the signer of the season. Kolev was goal of the season. Top goal scorer was Burukov, and most assists again was Burukov. Most player of the matches awards was Burukov. Highest average rating again was Burukov. And Oleg with most classes completed. Worst discipline was Kirchev. Most goals in a season, most league goals by a player is Burukov on 73. I don't even know how many. If we have a look, so he's had 124 appearances for Lokomotiv Sofia, and he scored 73 goals. He's starting to consider whether or not he should be looking to move for a bigger club. So obviously, I don't think you can really sort of. That's worrying. I mean, I've got him on a contract till I think it's like 2027. Yeah, he's going to be around for a few more years, so it's not too bad. But valued at 1.4 million, and with that goal return, he's hitting about 15 average per season. Which is fantastic to see. And obviously for a signing who's came in on a free, that is huge. And to have 100 and something appearances and 70 plus goals, that's incredible as a striker who's not even he's not an advanced forward, he's a target man, which makes this even more impressive. So obviously we then go to the inbox, we go to the season analysis performance, and we can go and have a look at these statistics. So defensive efficiency. So the defensive efficiency shows that we were quiet and leaky, which isn't great, and probably the reason why we are in this position where we just cannot seem to improve. And that's the issue, I think, going forward, is that, oh God, we just need to fix this leaky defence. Now, the next statistic is the attacking efficiency. We were aggressive but wasteful, which is a bit of a shame, and I think that's because Yordanov, when he came in, he wasn't hitting the heights of what potentially he was doing in pre-season, where that guy's pre-season results were just an absolute joke. Sorry. Now, we have a look at what the club expects now next going forward, and they just want the same. They just want a mid-table finish and working within a payroll. I think that's the thing with this club, is that they're happy to just sit in mid-table, which is fine. And but moving forward, I can't do that for the save. I've got to really start to improve this club and move it forward. But I'm not the best at Football Manager. I play this as much as I'd play this, obviously not as much as I can, but I do try and really sort of go into depths with it and try and find players that really will help the club move forward. But I'm no means, some of these other YouTubers where they're fantastic at the game. So obviously at the moment I'm just going to have to accept that going forward, because that's not that, they're barely asking for anything. And the squad update, obviously everyone's good, everyone's leadership's fine. End of season team meeting, we're going to challenge for the title, just mid-table. Yeah, that's exactly the sort of reaction. I'll see you all at pre-season. I think that's really it, really. And I think, to be fair, like this year and this season has been really difficult, I think, going forward as a club save, because the issue is that, as you see in this season, like obviously look at this guy, 25 appearances, 19 goals. The difference, the sheer difference in quality. So if we go over to the, if I just go over to profile, and I go on to, is it stats and team details? Yeah. And we go over to here, and we go on to the salaries per year. Now, obviously, the salaries per year doesn't dictate whether or not the team's going to be performing, but it does give you a big indication on how much players and the quality of players are being signed for. So, obviously, our salary per year is 485,000. Now, that is fantastic, and we are second from bottom on that. So that's really good. That shows that we are, at the moment, just, we're keeping our finances low, and we're just hopefully, becoming a bit more self-sustainable. But as you can tell, some of these teams are spending a phenomenal amount of money on players, and we don't have that at the moment. We don't have the chance to do that, and we don't really have the financial sort of stability to provide for that, and that's a shame. But something tells me that if this season goes well, obviously with this season, not going well, it hasn't not gone well, we've done what the board asked. It's more, how do we take this club to the next step? And I think that's by accepting that we may have to start getting players in with a bit higher of a contract, but also still maintaining that quality signings that we need to do. Now, if you have a look on net spend, we spent second from top for this season, and a lot of those signings, probably my fault, it is my fault. They haven't hit the heights of what I intended. But with that in mind, obviously with next season, I think the big one is that we have to go and get into the championship group. I think that's every single time from now on. We have to go and get into that championship group. Once we break that, I think that means we can start to really push through this save and start to really move forward. But season 5, season 10, I want to have a championship under my belt. So I've got 5 seasons now left to go and do this, which is okay. But I also want to try and see how far we get in Europe as well. So thank you ever so much to everyone that has tuned in to this save. I hope you have enjoyed it. And if you have, please give it a big thumbs up. Make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Also, feel free to drop a comment, anything that you say. It helped me out with this because I'm in a bit of a dire situation. And hopefully, you guys can help out with this save and give yourself a bit of feedback to me to help out with this, because we need a few more things going forward, and hopefully, I cannot wait to deliver you season 5. So please don't go anywhere, and I'll see you all in season 5. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you very much. Bye bye.